just going to have this little funny moment where people on YouTube can see me standing here and talking but can't hear me. Oh, they can hear me, sorry. Okay. So excuse me while I do a little practicality in the room. First of all, welcome. Welcome to everybody. It's really great to have the room so busy. I haven't counted, I'm not going to guess. But yeah, thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us online, wherever you are, and whether you're watching live today or sometime in the future. And thank you for making that possible. Got Mark and Upekshapriya over on tech. So just wanted to do a little practicality, as I said. So first of all, there's no fire alarms test scheduled for this time, and if the fire alarm sounds, please follow instructions from myself, and if you discover a fire, sound the alarm, warn people around you to leave the building via the nearest fire exit. Fire exits are the door, the entrance door on the ground floor by reception. We've got the metal stairs just here, and we have the wooden stairs that everybody probably came up. And the idea is just that we go down to the metal doors, out into the alleyway and through the car park out the back, and just rendezvous there and check that everything is safe before we can be allowed in. The other thing for the room, I don't know why this happens, but it really helps if everyone can turn off their phone or put it onto aeroplane mode. So apart from the fact that it's not going to ring, somehow it helps us stream online. So it helps the people that are at home. Somehow, if we don't ask for this, the streaming gets a little bit juddery, or the sound, or some kind of impacts that we don't know. So yeah, thank you for turning off your phones and helping out with that. So this is our first session, afternoon session for 2025. It just feels so special, really special to be part of this. And the idea behind it is the theme is the three protectors. And it came from a thread that Lokeshwara brought to us in November. And it is 4 weeks, and yes, it is the three protectors, so that's not a mistake. We've got Sthirajyoti today, introducing us to Vajrapani. Next week, Lokeshwara will be here to connect with the love of Avalokitesvara. And then we'll have Arya connecting us with the clarity of Manjusri, Manjusri. And the three protectors you might know are here on the shrine. And we're just going to leave them there throughout the year and just keep revisiting them and keep bringing them to mind. On week 4, there will be a session week 4, and there'll be a guest speaker. So just keep coming, keep connecting, and just see where it takes you. See where it takes us all together, really. So thinking about connection, some of us haven't seen each other for a while. It's been that particular time of year when we take a break. Or it's been that time of year when we've been here quite a lot on the winter retreat. So whatever you've been doing, let's just bring each other to mind, whether we're here in person or mentally. Just have a think about who's around, who your friends are, who's in this community that we share. And can we just go inwards? just take a minute to think about what we share and our inspirations. And can we connect with an intention for this year? Actually, an intention for the rest of our lives. Because the Dharma is deep and meaningful. And can we carry that with us all the time? It's available to carry with us all the time. Doesn't matter where we are. Doesn't matter who we're stood with. So hopefully everybody here, everybody listening, is familiar with the three jewels. The Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. They're always present. They're always there to offer us support. And that's just what we need to connect with. The people around us, our local Sangha, and these three figures, they are the portal. They are what keeps us in touch with our inspiration. Certainly do for me. They keep me in touch with my deepest value, the values that were offered to us all from the Buddha. And this series is really here to help us connect with those, the Buddha's attributes, wisdom, compassion, and energy. There's some places at the front if you'd like to. Feel free. Make yourself comfortable. Just standing here is actually really helping me just take a minute and have a breath and not be on the go quite so much as I often am. So thank you for being with that. So hopefully you've been able to connect and possibly ground yourself a little bit. And what I'd like to do all together is salute the three jewels. And I'll do this in call and response. So yeah, if you've not done this before, then you can either sit and watch, stand and watch, or you can participate. Do what's most comfortable for you. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dhammaya. Namo Dhammaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Namah. Om. Ha. Hung. That sounded really beautiful for me, standing at the front. So I did say that today was a day for Sthirajyoti to share with us about Vajrapani. And I don't know how well everybody knows Sthirajyoti. He's very active in Triratna for nearly 50 years, I'm going to say. I only know that in relation to my age. It's never a good idea to go off-piste. So, I just want to share a few things because you might not be aware of how big his connection is and how dedicated he has been to Triratna, to practicing the Dharma. He found the Dharma in Helsinki in 1979. And then it only took him a year and he became a Mitra. In 1985, he moved over to England to join a men's community at Padmaloka, which is a retreat centre. And in 1987, he was ordained at Guyaloca in Spain, in the mountains of Spain. And that was a really special retreat. Not only was he ordained by Sangharakshita, the founder of this movement, but it was, I can feel myself getting emotional. It was the first ordination at that retreat centre. It took them a year to prepare the retreat centre, and he was part of that first group. He's moved and lived in various parts of the country to serve the Sangha and to serve the Dharma. He's been in Glasgow, in a right livelihood in a printing business. In Birmingham, he was co-creating a magazine for order members, enabling order members to connect and share about their life and their practice. Shabda. And it's still going, but yes, somebody else is taking care of that now. In Cambridge, he worked for Windhorse. And about 10 years ago, fortunately for us, he came to live in Manchester. And he joined the team. I was really fortunate to work with him for a year and a half. And he brings everything with him. He brings like all his experience, personal and dharmic. He brings it all with him. He also supports men through the ordination practice and is a preceptor, which is huge, actually. I was thinking about this morning. It just seemed huge that you dedicate your life in this way for the future of this Sangha, for the future of the Dharma. So I love his depth, I love his commitment, and he's very fun and kind and caring, and I know that firsthand. So thank you. And when Lokeshwara gave us this invitation in November to connect with and hold and take inspiration from the three protectors, Sthirajyoti was first in line. He was first in line to say, what can I do and how can I share? And that's why we're here today. That's really why we're starting off the year in this way, because that was his inspiration coming forward and supporting us all. I did say that Sangharakshita performed the ordination ceremony. And I asked Sthirajyoti about this and about his name. So I just want to leave you with his name. And hopefully I'll get this right, my interpretation. So Sthirajyoti, like a candle that has been blown in the wind, it may flicker and does not go out. He is a steady, radiant light. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Louise, for that very, very kind and warm welcome. I feel quite touched. Well done, excellent. And nice to see you all as well. I felt also quite touched by saluting the shrine for the first time after quite a break during the Christmas and New Year. It is quite special. So, Happy New Year to all of you. I hope it's been a good transition to the new year. And I hope it will be a smooth and spiritually prosperous year for you all. So today we're starting a series of invocations, really. Invocations to energies that take the form of these three bodhisattvas we're going to be talking about. The protectors of the Dharma, as they're called. We will be meeting these three fascinating figures, and they can motivate us, they can encourage us, and they can protect us in ways that I hope will become clear during this whole series. I'm also aware that some of you might have come from the tools class or haven't had very much contact with the center before, so I'm going to go through a bit of fundamentals before we launch into the actual figures. And it's no harm, of course, there's no harm in renewing our acquaintance with these figures if you know them already. Yeah. So these three figures on the shrine, which all of you can't see, are called bodhisattvas. And the first question, of course, that arises is, what is a bodhisattva? I'm going to explore a few questions during this talk. One is, what is a bodhisattva? Second is, what makes bodhisattva tick? And third one is, what is it like to be a bodhisattva? And I hope I can give you a bit of a feeling for the subject. So that's the first part of the talk. Second part will be then dedicated to explore Vajrapani more in detail and see what he's like. Okay, in the middle we are going to have a little reflective period, and this is a kind of discussion between pairs of people, and I'm aware that you can't do that online, and I suggest a kind of self-reflective period for the people online watching. So I hope that works for you. Okay, so what is bodhisattva? What is a bodhisattva? Well, it all starts with Gautama Buddha, the historical Buddha. So during the time of his enlightenment, it is said that he came to some extraordinary and special transcendental knowledge, or knowledges, we should say. One of these knowledges was that he was able to recollect all his previous lifetimes. So not just the one before this, or the couple before, and the one where you were Julius Caesar and all that sort of stuff, but all of them in detail. Apparently he could relate quite in detail of the kind of life he led, who he was, who he met, where he lived, and how he died as well. That's quite a special knowledge to have. So presumably he told all these stories to people during his time, and these stories were passed on orally, as were the rest of his teachings. And in time they were written down, and they became to be known. A body of stories are known as Jataka stories, or the birth stories of the Buddha. It's not quite certain, I'm not quite certain if all these stories were actually told by the Buddha. I think there's a certain amount of legendary material there, and I think the Jataka genre in general is regarded as legendary. So you can't take it too literally, but it's interesting stuff, and it's good to know. So they were really stories to illustrate his past training as a future Buddha to be. And they illustrate the qualities of the Buddha to be, such as generosity, that he perfected during his training, during his previous lifetimes. And they also teach Buddhist moral lessons, particularly in the framework of karma and rebirth, and seeing the link between actions and consequences. They're very good for that. All these stories pretty much emphasize putting the needs of others before the needs of your own, or considering the common good before considering your own good. They're very charming stories. They are selfless, heroic deeds, encounters and sacrifices, and they exemplify the aspects of the path to enlightenment. So, for example, there's a story of a very poor family who were poor enough to almost starve at times. And the father of that family died, and he came back. He was reborn as a swan. And the swan had golden feathers. And this golden feathered swan found his way back to the family. and he offered them one of his feathers so that they could go change it into money or change it into food, feed themselves, get on with their lives very well. And when their money ran out, the swan turned up again and offered another feather to them. And this continued for some time, and everyone was happy. But of course, like in the story of the goose and the golden eggs, the story didn't end very happily, because in the end the family got very greedy and they decided to pluck all the feathers out of the swan and sell them all. And of course they were well off for a while, but as serves them right, when the feathers came back onto the swan, they were not golden anymore, they were just ordinary feathers. And that was the end of that. So the story here is, of course, sacrifice, self-sacrifice for the benefit of others. Then there's another story about a prince of a realm who had everything he could. His life was good, he didn't want anything, he was well educated, well fed, well turned out. One day he went out for a walk, and he went out with his companions and everything was fine. They ended up on the edge of a ravine, and he looked down into this deep ravine, and there was a family of tigers down there. And the tigress and her cubs were starving. They were not very well, and they were right on the edge of really death. Now the prince contrived it so that the companions left him, and after they had left him, he decided to throw himself down into the ravine and offer himself as food for the tigers, and he saved the family of tigers. So this story expresses the fact that, or the aspiration almost, that whatever sacrifices you make for the Dharma, you kind of go quite far sometimes. You can go as far as give life and limb. And it's well known in the history of religion that that has happened many times. And it's not by any means exclusive to Buddhism, that kind of sacrifice. So the moral of these stories is quite clear. When you're training for enlightenment, you start by working for the benefit of others, and then you continue working for the benefit of others until you gain enlightenment, and then you continue afterwards working for the benefit of others, presumably on another level. Yeah. So this kind of selfless motivation, which is really open-ended and endless in a sense, is what makes Bodhisattva tick. The selfless motivation for the benefit of others. Yeah. This is what makes him work. So, a figure of a Bodhisattva, so literally Buddha to be, came to be developed in this way in the Jatakas, and it only applied in the Jataka stories to the Buddha himself in his previous lifetimes. But when the Mahayana rose, and along with it, the sort of vast historical perspective and emphasis on compassionate action, the meaning of the word changed and the number of bodhisattvas multiplied. So our present use of the term is quite different from the Jatakas. Our understanding is that a bodhisattva, like these three on the shrine here, is someone who is developed enough to become a Buddha, but who, out of compassion for all beings, decides not to. It's all right for the Buddhas to pop over to Nirvana, but the Bodhisattvas decide not to. They postpone their Nirvana until everyone is happy to join them, or everyone can join them, and until all beings have gained Nirvana. So they are there not to leave anyone behind, to coin a term. So this is quite a logical conclusion of wanting to work for the benefit of all beings. So you exclude no one. So this attitude then, when well developed, is called the bodhicitta, heart of enlightenment, or more precisely the will to enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. So this is what is being represented here on the shrine in these figures, and you can see Vajrapani down here. So this is what they look like. So the forms of the bodhisattvas, I'd like to go into that a little bit. They're often human-like because we relate to humans very well, and we like to look at familiar things. Yeah, so they're often in human forms, or they're human-like. Vajrapani is a bit human-like, isn't he? Kind of broadly speaking. There's two forms of each protector. They manifest themselves either in a peaceful form or in a wrathful form. And the two bodhisattvas here, Avalokitesvara and Manjusri, manifest in a peaceful form, and Vajrapani manifests most often in wrathful form. The peaceful forms are young in appearance. They often sit in meditation in a very peaceful postures. The wrathful ones are often mature beings, and they are often active in some way, like you can probably see. These three bodhisattvas express the three aspects of enlightenment, really: compassion for Avalokitesvara, wisdom for Manjusri, and energy in the pursuit of these for Vajrapani. So I said that all bodhisattvas manifest both peaceful and wrathful forms. Now I'd like to go through the peaceful forms first and then the wrathful forms for all three. Okay? So Avalokitesvara, called the one who looks down in compassion, who is also called one who regards the cries of the world. He is white in complexion and very beautiful to look at. Manjusri or Manjugosha is golden in complexion. He's called the gently spoken one, or the glorious gentle one. And Vajrapani in his peaceful form is the holder or keeper of the Vajra. Now the wrathful forms for Avalokitesvara, he is called Mahakala, which translates as the great black one. He's really stocky, squatty person with a piece of dharmic text in his hand, and he looks just as like him. Manjusri or Manjugosha, his wrathful form is called Yamantaka. That translates as the slayer of death, or the end maker. It's a kind of Terminator almost. You could do it. And Vajrapani is called the wielder of the diamond thunderbolt. So if this sounds a bit like the bunch of heavy metal bands, you're in good company. So at this point you might already be wondering how to become a bodhisattva. And we can start from the fact that they have our best interest at heart. They're working for the benefit of all beings. Their goodwill, their metta towards us is limitless. Yeah. I'll read you an extract from Sangharakshita's Living with Kindness. It gives you an idea of the intensity of emotion involved. He's talking about metta, and after lamenting the fact that we have no sufficiently strong words to express this in English, he gives a description of what he means. So he says, in our desire to be near the object of our passion, in our need to possess it and our longing for it to be part of us, we experience the energy and intensity that will eventually characterize our experience of metta. Similarly, when we achieve the object of our passion, we may for a brief moment experience the blissful calm, the balance and harmony that also characterize the genuine metta state. Metta brings together the contrasting emotional reactions of dynamic energy and calm repletion into a single quality of emotion, completely transforming them in the process. Although when it is fully developed, metta is a feeling of harmony, both in oneself and with all beings, it also has a fiery, full-blooded, even ecstatic quality. Ecstasy literally means sense of standing outside oneself, and this is how metta can feel. It is marked by such an intensity of positive emotion that when purely felt, it can carry you outside yourself. Metta is blissful, ecstatic, a naturally expansive desire to brighten the whole world, the whole universe, and the universe is beyond that. So that's quite strong, isn't it? Intense emotion. So this is what metta is supposed to develop into. It's not just a feeling of goodwill or happiness for yourself and others. It's actually a very vigorous concern, a bit like parental love, that sort of intense engagement. So, another quote, just briefly. Metta is clearly a good thing in itself, but there is another reason to practice it, apart from its obvious merits, as a very positive state of mind. Oh, I've started the wrong page, sorry. While being careful to differentiate metta from all sorts of other emotions, we need to not be so precious about it that we refine it out of existence. In the Itivuttaka, a collection of sayings from the Pali Canon, there is a passage in which the Buddha says of metta that it burns and shines and blazes forth, suggesting that it is closer to incandescent passion than what we usually think of as spiritual emotion. The English terms friendliness, loving kindness and goodwill don't come close to expressing this sort of intensity and expansive energy. So mark that expression, incandescent passion. We're going to talk about that later. So you can think of metta as a sort of seed of bodhicitta, seed of a training for a bodhisattva. If you've ever tended plants, you know that given soil, moisture, all the right conditions, a seed will grow into a plant which will then produce flowers, which will then become fruit, whose seeds will grow into new plants. So this is the common starting point for all the bodhisattvas. They all have cultivated metta as well as mindfulness sometime over long periods of time. All Buddhas and bodhisattvas partake in it. So I'd like to break at this point just for 10 minutes or so, and I will ask you to, I would ask us to reflect on the intensity of metta. Bhante described it as equivalent to incandescent passion. I think I need to translate that into English because it's mostly Latin. So, incandescent is intensely bright, brilliantly fiery or glowing, or even burning passion or desire. Yeah. You're really on fire about something because you really, really want it. That's what is meant here. And my question to you is simply, what is your experience of this kind of state? Can you think of the last time you experienced this kind of emotion? Can I suggest we split into pairs and kind of talk to each other about this? It's about, I'll give you about 10 minutes. We swap between in the middle after 5 minutes. And the idea is not for you to report back in any way. It's just for you to contact this sense of, let's call it incandescent passion. And you can say what you like, within limits if you like. And I suggest that because it could be quite intimate subject, everything that is said in this room will stay in this room. So you can speak quite freely. Okay? let's take just a minute to think about that and go back to our experience and time when we may have experienced that strong passion, when we really, really wanted something. And then let's report in, as it were. I'll ring the bell in 5 minutes and you can swap over, and then after 10 minutes we'll return to Vajrapani. Okay? All right, folks, shall we start winding down gradually? Thank you. Ooh, quite lots of energy in the room. Fantastic to see you all talking so intently. Brilliant. Did you manage to get anywhere near reconnecting with your experience of that kind of thing? Yes? Okay, good. You're smiling. Great. All right, so let's talk about Vajrapani more specifically. Here he is. So Vajrapani is most often connected with the Buddhist virtue of virya, which is usually referred to as energy in pursuit of the good, or capacity to work for the benefit of others, or sometimes it's rendered as ardor, which is again that sort of more full-blooded word. So this angle's been visited so many times and so much has been said about it, I don't need to repeat any of that today. Instead, I will talk about some other aspects of Vajrapani that are a bit more rarely considered. Yeah. So I want to talk about his strength and his vitality and his power. These are not usual words that we use in the Buddhist center. So assuming you're on the right side of Vajrapani, which is a big ask, Vajrapani's presence can make you feel quite thoroughly wholesome and healthy without you doing anything. The radiance that he emits is so strong that it makes you feel good. It can impart health and vitality even from distance, even from a distance. It's just like soaking up the sun's rays and letting them do good. And his strength is obvious from the way he's built. Those strong arms and legs can handle all sorts of tasks, both arduous and long. There's power and purpose in his movement. He's moving resolutely to the right. And he's stamping and burning his way through all kinds of obstacles to spiritual life, as if they were just kindling for his ambition. He's not just stomping around at random. He's got a purpose in his step when he does that. I also want to mention that there's might and magic in Vajrapani. He's quite a mighty figure, as you can tell. Being Bodhisattva, he is not just mighty, but he's also supremely mindful, and he's in full possession of all his faculties. So although it looks like he's out a bit wild, he's not actually very sort of wild. He's quite composed, cool and collected. He's quite a regal figure in his own way. It's almost like no sort of lower order of interest or pursuit or energy can touch him. It's almost like he rules over the samsara in that way. There's also magic in Vajrapani. One of his titles in the Tantric tradition is Guhyapati, which translates as Lord of the Secret Teachings. He guards and preserves the teachings so that they don't get lost. And there's even a sutra in the Pali Canon you might want to look up where Vajrapani stands guard over the Buddha himself. And that's a very early text in the Pali Canon. And of course he also flies through the air, standing on his lotus, like Aladdin on his magic carpet, if you like. And then, if you can see, there's his face, contemplating the insubstantiality of things. And Avalokitesvara's body and face are beaming with compassion, like here. The figure of ruffle form of Vajrapani is not presence. In all honesty, you could say that he's not very moon and sun-like eyeball. The third eye, of course, is the eye of wisdom, through which he perceives the truth. In his very wide truth, in his very wide open mouth, and his hair is on fire, and so is fire, and so is his beard, and so are his eyebrows, Exhortation in some of the turban is on fire. You don't have very much time in the action. Put it into practice. Practice hard. Yeah. And tremendous heat and flames are emitted through all the pores of his skin. There was that phrase from Bhante earlier on about brightening the whole world, the whole universe, and universe. This part here is supposed to be the brightness and the radiance, yeah. And because it's often depicted as being behind him, but it's actually all around him. So you have to imagine him kind of exhaling this vaporous substance which bursts into flame through the intensity of his practice and energy. Yeah. You may see his nails. Although they're well formed, they are long, curved and very sharp. They're like talons of a bird of prey. So maybe that's there to kind of catch you and hold you very tightly if you get near him. He's facial and smiling. He's got an open mouth and he seems to be shouting something out. Yeah. And although he wears some of the jewel ornaments of a bodhisattva, he's also draped in a tiger skin, and there's a snake leisurely hanging around his neck. Yeah. So what's all this show all about then? What would you think if you saw him on the street? It's a bit unfair. I'm going out on a limb here a bit, but hopefully not too far. Let me know if this makes sense or not for you. The question is, sometimes, have you ever had bad news about something or someone? For instance, it could be bad news about state of health, either your own or somebody else's. Maybe the last examination you went to threw up something unexpected. And now it's staring you right in the face. And the demeanor is not a very pleasant one. Yeah. And you have presumably had the news about the decision to move the Buddhist center somewhere else. This has been, for many, a very unpleasant prospect to contemplate. But now it's here, it is going to happen, and the look of this prospect is not so pleasant to contemplate, and there's that unpleasant face again. This is what I mean. When there's unpleasant things, how do we respond? What happens when we encounter an unpleasant situation? This is a little like the Roman god Janus, who's got two heads, who's got two faces on both sides of his head. They're pointing in opposite directions. He's the god of beginnings and transitions and duality and passages and endings. Quite appropriate. Either face could be revealed. So how do we respond? In breathworks where I trained some years ago, they got very good model for this, and it's called blocking or drowning. So when you meet something pleasant or unpleasant, there's two ways you usually respond. In a purely reactive way, you block it, try and ignore it, go passive, put it out of your mind, and leave it alone. Or you can drown, you can be overwhelmed, you can be anxious, you can become just snowed under by the news or whatever it is. Okay, so just as an example, I've got a bad shoulder at the moment. I had it for some time. It's unwelcome news because I'm off to India later on this week, and I'm going to be carrying my rucksack. So some weeks ago when it started, I was training for this trip. I was carrying my day pack with 10 kilos of stuff in there and walking around Hollingworth Lake just to build up my strength for the trip. I tried to ignore it, my bad shoulder, it doesn't matter. It didn't actually bother me while walking, but it otherwise did. So I just put it aside. I didn't look at it. I didn't want to know, to be honest. No way. So usually this kind of little pain passes quite quickly from me, but it didn't pass this time. It's still there. So next thing I know, I'm giving up the plans of going to India. I'm trying to get a refund. I'm thinking of, okay, that's it. I'm done. This was the trip of a lifetime. I'm not going because of my shoulder. I can't bear it. And so I got snowed under. That was the next reaction I had. So you can kind of flick between one or the other. You probably can recognize that quite easily. However, I have a good friend who I live with, Tara Vandana, and I was talking to him. Her. I'm sorry. In Finnish, we don't have this gender stuff, so there's just one word for it. So, her. So she reminded me that it was possible and important to manage the pain, not to give in to it. And it was possible to continue planning the trip and kind of working with it slightly differently. And this all came out of the simple fact that Taravandana made me to look at the pain a bit more closely and actually examine it and then come to some sort of terms with it of what was possible and what was not possible. Yeah. And little by little I kind of resigned to the fact that I've got pain. It's not going to be as pleasant as it could be, but I'm going anyway. So, great. That's good. Often that secondary feeling of blocking or drowning can cause more pain and suffering than the actual pain that you have. Yeah. That's something I need to apparently learn from time to time again and again. It is a bit humiliating. So Vidyamala, who set up breathworks here, she has a good saying. She says, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. But mainly unpleasant experiences. It's important to experience and deal with them correctly. It's not just enough to let go of them because you can't often. If it's pain, it's pain. But you need to apply metta, and that is where we come back to the Bodhisattva's training. Metta to yourself and kindness and understanding of the situation where you are. Otherwise, you will end up being in this dual dynamic of blocking and drowning and being like that. I'm sure you have your own version of this, and I wonder if you're more in terms of blocker, or are you a droner? Which one do you tend to do? Do you tend to go under, or do you tend to ignore it? Interesting question. So, coming back to Buddhist training, the point of Buddhist training is to deal with these things however they present themselves, without resorting either to blocking or drowning. And Rothko Vajrapani and his whole figure and demeanor is reminding us that there's this other side of life and this other side to our experience. And it's not at the end of the world if you experience unpleasantness, no way. So Vajrapani is reminding you not to shy away from unpleasant experiences or pleasant experiences as well. He's reminding you that you can learn from both. And it's very, very important in Buddhism, this, because it frees you from samsara. You stop suffering and rebirth completely. That is what the Buddha did himself. By stopping rebirth and suffering, you stop old age. By stopping old age, you completely stop sickness and death. This is what the Buddha taught. It is worth knowing that you can stop it. And Vajrapani, with his might and magic, as well as the other bodhisattvas, can help you with it. So I hope you got a bit of an idea of what bodhisattva is in the beginning, and to begin with, then what makes him tick, and what it's like to be a bodhisattva. From my limited experience, I'll try to give you a bit of an idea, and I hope it will serve you well. Thank you. Yes. Oh yes, we're going to have now a 10-minute break, which you can use for a toilet break or whatever, and then we'll start a puja at 3:15. So if you could be back here promptly, 3:15, and we do a puja to the wrathful energies of enlightenment. Just a gentle suggestion. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to continue with the theme of intense emotional engagement with the Dharma, and we're going to do a puja to the wrathful deities. How this is going to work out is I'm going to read an invocation to begin with, and then we move into the puja, and it's going to be a standard sevenfold puja. Instead of Avalokitesvara mantra, I lead the Vajrapani mantra. And we have a reading after the sixth section from Louise. And just a normal puja, normal sevenfold puja. Okay, if you'd like to settle down. Invocation to the wrathful deities. Hung, burst forth, O wisdom, blazing like fire at end of eon. Consume the blind darkness of delusion and craving, and destroy all fear of the Yamaraja of hatred. Great heroes, recognizable by the tiger skins you're wearing, tramplers upon the hosts of demons and evil spirits, slayers of foes, O Vidyarajas, O wrathful ones, be seated. You are being summoned here to annihilate the evil spirits. Puja is being performed for the benefit of all sentient beings. Hence, you must come. Appearing from the non-duality of voidness and self-nature, you are ever devoted to the welfare of the world. You, having manifested yourselves with awe-inspiring body, to you, O greatly wrathful ones, I make obeisance. Within, abiding in the peaceful wisdom, yet without of fearsome, foe-devouring aspect, terribly roaring like 1,000 claps of thunder, and with these twain overcoming demons, to you, O greatly wrathful ones, I make obeisance. You whose essence is the highest knowledge, who wielding in your hands all sorts of weapons, have rooted out the kleshas and deadly poisons, to you, O snake-adorned ones, I make obeisance. By fire like that at eon's end encircled, hero-like you stand with flexed legs wide apart, angrily glaring with sun and moon-like eyeballs. To you, O consumer of the demons, I make obeisance. Greatly fierce, like fire at end of eon, splendid white tusks gleaming like 1,000 lightning flashes, and a shout like 1,000 thunderclaps forth sending. To you, O Yaksha killer, wrathful king, I make obeisance. Hung, roaring, hung and fear-inspiring, demons destroying without exception. You gods, bestowers of all siddhis whatsoever, to you, foes of the demons, I make obeisance. Sevenfold puja, firstly worship. With Mandarava, blue lotus and jasmine. With all flowers pleasing and fragrant. And with garlands skillfully woven. I pay honour to the princes of the sages. So worthy of veneration. I envelop them in clouds of incense. Sweet and penetrating. I make them offerings of food, hard and soft. And pleasing kinds of liquids to drink. I offer them lamps encrusted with jewels. Festooned with golden lotus. On the paving sprinkled with perfume. I scatter handfuls of beautiful flowers. Om Vajrapani Hum, 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 Salutation. As many atoms as there are, in the 1,000,000,000 worlds, so many times I make reverent salutation to all the Buddhas of the three eras, to the Siddharma, and to the excellent community. I pay homage to all the shrines and places in which the Bodhisattvas have been. I make profound obeisance to the teachers and those to whom a respectful salutation is due. Going for refuge. This very day, I go for my refuge to the powerful protectors whose purpose is to guard the universe, the mighty conquerors who overcome suffering everywhere. Wholeheartedly also I take my refuge In the Dharma they have ascertained, which is the abode of security, against the rounds of rebirth. Likewise in the host of bodhisattvas, I take my refuge. Refuges and precepts in unison. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami, tatyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, tatyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, tatyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Anatipata veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Kamesu mechachara veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Suramerya maja pamadhatana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With deeds of loving kindness, I purify my body. With open-handed generosity, I purify my body. With stillness, simplicity, and contentment, I purify my body. With truthful communication, I purify my speech. With mindfulness clear and radiant, I purify my mind. Confession of faults. The evil that I have heaped up through my ignorance and foolishness, evil in the world of everyday experience, as well as evil in understanding and intelligence. All that I acknowledge to the protectors, standing before them, with hands raised in reverence, and terrified of suffering, I pay salutations again and again. May the leaders receive this kindly, just as it is with its many faults. What is not good, O protectors,
What is not good, O protectors,
I shall not do again.
I shall not do again.
Rejoicing in merit. I rejoice with delight
I rejoice with delight
in the good done by all beings,
in the good done by all beings,
through which they obtain rest,
through which they obtain rest,
with the end of suffering.
with the end of suffering.
May those who have suffered be happy.
May those who have suffered be happy.
I rejoice in the release of beings
I rejoice in the release of beings
from the sufferings of the rounds of existence.
from the sufferings of the rounds of existence.
I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva
I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva
and the Buddha,
and the Buddha,
who are protectors.
who are protectors.
I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment
I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment
and the teaching,
and the teaching,
those oceans that bring happiness to all beings
those oceans that bring happiness to all beings,
and are the abode of welfare of all beings.
and are the abode of welfare of all beings.
Entreaty and supplication. Saluting them with folded hands,
Saluting them with folded hands,
I entreat the Buddhas in all the quarters.
I entreat the Buddhas in all the quarters.
May they make shine the lamp of the Dharma
May they make shine the lamp of the Dharma
for those wandering in the suffering of delusion.
for those wandering in the suffering of delusion.
With hands folded in reverence,
With hands folded in reverence,
I implore the conquerors desiring to enter nirvana.
I implore the conquerors desiring to enter nirvana.
May they remain here for endless ages,
May they remain here for endless ages,
so that life in this world does not grow dark.
so that life in this world does not grow dark.
He who is skilled in his good, who wishes to attain that state of calm, should act thus. He should be able, upright, perfectly upright, of noble speech, gentle and humble. Contented, easily supported, with few duties, of light livelihood, with senses calmed, discreet, not impudent, not greedily attached to families. He should not pursue the slightest thing for which other wise men might censure him. May all beings be happy and secure. May their hearts be wholesome. Whatever living beings there be, feeble or strong, tall, stout, or medium, short, small, or large, without exception, seen or unseen, those dwelling far or near, those who are born or those who are to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, nor despise any person whatsoever in any place. Let him not wish harm to another out of anger or ill will. Just as a mother would protect her only child at the risk of her own life, even so Let him cultivate a boundless heart towards all beings. Let his thought of boundless love pervade the whole world, above, below, and across without any obstruction, without any hatred, without enmity. Whether he stands, walks, sits, or lies down, as long as he is awake, he should develop this mindfulness. This, they say, is the noblest living here. Not falling into wrong views, being virtuous and endowed with insight, by discarding attachment to sense desires, never again is he reborn.
The Heart Sutra. The Bodhisattva of compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused him suffering. Here then, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is only emptiness, emptiness only form. Feeling, thought and choice, consciousness itself are the same as this. All things are by nature void. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. So, in emptiness, no form, no feeling, thought or choice, nor is there consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no colour, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, nor even active sensing, no ignorance or end of it, nor all that comes of ignorance, no withering, no death, no end of them, nor is there pain or cause of pain, or ceasing pain, or noble path to lead from pain, not even wisdom to attain. Attainment too is emptiness. So know that the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna wisdom, is freed of delusive hindrance, rid of the fear bred by it, and reaches clearest nirvana. All Buddhas of past and present, Buddhas of future time, using this prajna wisdom, come to full and perfect vision. Hear then the great Dharani, the radiant, peerless mantra, the prajna paramita, whose words allay all pain. Hear and believe its truth. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisvaha. Transference of merit and self-surrender. may the merit gained in my acting thus go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. My personality throughout my existences, my possessions, and my merit in all three ways. I give up without regard to myself, for the benefit of all beings, just as the earth and other elements are serviceable in many ways to the infinite number of beings inhabiting limitless space. So may I become that which maintains all beings, situated throughout space, so long as all have not attained to peace. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Arapachanadi. Om Arapachanadi. Om Arapachanadi. Om Vajrapani Hum. Om Vajrapani Hum. Om Vajrapani Hum. Om Tare. Tuttare. Ture. Swaha. Om Tare. Tuttare. Ture. Swaha. Om Tare. Tuttare. Ture. Swaha. Om Amideva Hri. Om Amideva Hri. Om Amideva Hri. Om Muni Muni. Mahamuni. Shakyamuni. Swaha. Om Muni Muni. Mahamuni. Shakyamuni. Swaha. Om Muni Muni. Mahamuni. Shakyamuni. Swaha. Om Mahung Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum Om Ahum Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum Om Ahum Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha Om Shanti